Fleet Admiral Thoxlar stood on the bridge of his massive warship, the Eternal Dominion. He was tall and proud like all Vulcans, with blue skin that sparkled like crystals in the light. His ship was one of 200 vessels in the 47th Battle Group, the most powerful fleet in this part of the galaxy. The Vulcan Empire had ruled space for over 2,000 years. They controlled 847 different alien species across 10,000 worlds. No one dared to challenge them. No one even tried anymore. Today was supposed to be an easy mission. Reports had come in about an unknown ship in the Calrian sector. Probably some lost trader or maybe pirates trying to hide from Imperial justice. Either way, it would be dealt with quickly. "Sir, we found the ship," said his tactical officer, pointing at the main screen. Thoxlar looked at the display and frowned. The ship was tiny compared to even their smallest vessels. It was only about 800 meters long, while his flagship was over 5 kilometers. The strange ship was completely black and seemed to absorb all the sensor beams they sent at it. "What kind of ship is that?" he asked. "Unknown, sir. We can't identify the design. It doesn't match any species in our database. Also, sir, we can't detect any energy signatures from it. No engines, no weapons, no life support systems showing up on our scans." "Impossible. Everything shows up on our scanners." Thoxlar studied the ship more carefully. It was sleek and smooth, unlike the angular crystal ships of the Empire. "Open communications. Give them the standard warning." The communications officer sent out the message that had been used for centuries. "Unknown vessel, you are in violation of Imperial space. Surrender immediately for processing, or be destroyed." For a moment there was silence. Then a voice came through the speakers, speaking perfect Vulcan language. "This is Captain Jinwoo of the Silent Thunder. You are ordered to withdraw from this system immediately." The entire bridge fell quiet. In 2,000 years of Imperial rule, no one had ever given orders to a Vulcan fleet. No one dared to tell them to leave. "Did he just order us to retreat?" whispered one of the junior officers. Thoxlar felt his anger rising. "Scan that ship again. I want to know everything about it." "Sir, our targeting systems can't lock onto them. It's like the ship is there, but not there at the same time. Our computers keep losing track of it." "Sir," another officer called out, "the ship is powering up something. Energy readings are spiking, but we can't tell what kind of weapons they have." Thoxlar had heard enough. One small ship against 200 Imperial warships was suicide. He would teach these aliens what happened when someone challenged the Empire. "All ships fire warning shots around the target. Show them our power." 200 Vulcan ships opened fire at once. The space around the human vessel exploded with bright plasma bolts and energy beams. The firepower was enough to destroy a small moon. Explosions lit up the darkness of space like a deadly fireworks show. When the light faded, everyone on the bridge stared in shock. The Silent Thunder was still there, completely undamaged, not even a scratch on its black hull. "Impossible," breathed the sensor operator. "Nothing could survive that." "Sir," the weapons officer said, his voice shaking. "They're powering up weapons now, real weapons." Captain Jinwoo's voice came through the communications again, still calm and steady. "You were warned." The human ship moved in a way that made no sense. It didn't thrust forward like normal ships, it simply appeared in a different place, right in the middle of the Vulcan formation. "All ships, evasive action," Thoxlar shouted. But the Imperial ships were huge and slow. They couldn't move fast enough. The Silent Thunder's weapons were unlike anything the Vulcans had ever seen. There were no bright energy beams or missiles. Instead, space itself seemed to bend around the targeted ships. The first Vulcan destroyer just folded in on itself, crumpling like paper. The second ship exploded when something went wrong with its power core. "Sir, the Crimson Talon is reporting total system failure. Their computers are being rewritten by something." Thoxlar watched in horror as more of his ships were destroyed in ways he couldn't understand. Some simply vanished. Others broke apart as if the bonds holding their atoms together had stopped working. "Retreat! All ships retreat," he ordered. But it was too late. The Silent Thunder moved through his fleet like a shark among fish. Every shot the Velkans fired missed or passed right through the human ship. Every time the humans fired back, another Imperial vessel died. Captain Jinwoo's voice filled all the communication channels. "This is your final warning. Withdraw from human space or face complete destruction." "Human space?" Thoxelar gasped. "This system isn't even on our charts. You're not in our records." "We were not in your records," came the reply. "That changed when you murdered our colonists. Earth sends its regards." Suddenly, the tactical display lit up with new contacts. More ships were appearing all around the system. Dozens at first, then hundreds, then thousands. All of them looked just like the Silent Thunder. "Fleet Admiral," his communications officer called out, his voice full of panic. "We're getting emergency transmissions from the capital. Sir, Earth ships have appeared in orbit around Velkara Prime. They're demanding our immediate surrender." Thoxelar fell into his command chair, his mind racing. How was this possible? How could an unknown species suddenly appear with thousands of ships? How could they be at the Imperial capital and here at the same time? "Sir, what are your orders?" asked his tactical officer. Thoxelar looked at the display showing the human fleet surrounding his forces, his mighty 47th Battle Group, which had conquered dozens of worlds, was helpless against these strange ships. "Send a message to Imperial Command," he said quietly. "Tell them we have made contact with a new species. Tell them." He paused, watching another of his ships disappear into nothingness. "Tell them we may have started a war we cannot win." 24 hours earlier, deep beneath the city of Geneva on Earth, Admiral Minho stood in the war room of the United Defense Command. The room was filled with holographic displays showing star maps, ship movements, and tactical information from across the galaxy. The walls were covered with portraits of Earth's greatest military leaders from throughout history. Admiral Minho often looked at them when he needed inspiration. Today he would need all the inspiration he could get. "Status report, Commander Yunji," he said to the young woman standing at attention beside him. Commander Yunji was one of Earth's best military minds despite being only 30 years old. She had helped design many of the new technologies that would be tested today. "The Velkans have moved their 47th Battle Group toward the Calrian sector, Admiral. Our intelligence shows they are responding to Captain Jinwoo's presence there." "And Project Prometheus?" "The Silent Thunder is ready, sir. Captain Jinwoo reports all systems are working perfectly. The quantum armor, the gravity drives, and all the other new technologies are performing better than we hoped." Admiral Minho nodded, but did not smile. This day had been 8 months in the making, ever since the Velkans had destroyed the colony. Ship New Sol. 600,000 civilians had died in that attack, including his own daughter Hana. The Velkans thought they were dealing with a primitive species that had barely learned to travel between stars. They had no idea what humanity was really capable of when pushed too far. "Sir," Lieutenant Doyun called from the communication station, "we're receiving a transmission from the Silent Thunder. Captain Jinwoo is about to make contact with the Velkan fleet." The main screen showed the view from Captain Jinwoo's ship. In the distance, 200 Velkan warships hung in space like deadly crystal sculptures. They were beautiful in their own way, but Admiral Minho felt no admiration for them. "Patch me through to Captain Jinwoo," he ordered. The captain's face appeared on a smaller screen. Jinwoo was 45 years old and had been a merchant ship captain before the war began. He had volunteered for this mission when he learned his brother had been on the New Sol. "Admiral, the Velkans are hailing us with their standard surrender. Demand," Jinwoo reported. "Proceed with the demonstration, Captain. Show them what happens when they attack humanity's children." "Understood, sir." Admiral Minho turned to Commander Yunji. "Are our other fleets in position?" "Yes, sir. Fleet Alpha is holding position outside the Sol system. Fleet Beta has reached the staging area near Proxima Centauri. Fleet Gamma is waiting in the asteroid belt. All ships report ready for simultaneous jump to target zones." The Admiral walked to the large tactical display in the center of the room. It showed the positions of human fleets throughout local space. Each fleet contained hundreds of ships all built in secret over the past 8 months. When the Velkans had destroyed the New Sol, they thought they were teaching humanity a lesson about challenging the Empire. Instead, they had awakened something they did not understand. Humanity had always been good at learning from their enemies. When the first Velkin ship had been captured 3 years ago, human scientists had taken it apart piece by piece. They studied every system, every circuit, every line of code. But humans did not just copy alien technology. They improved it. They made it faster, stronger, more efficient. The gravity drives on human ships were now 3 times more powerful than the Velkin originals. The energy weapons hit twice as hard and used half as much power. "Sir," Commander Yunji said quietly, "are you sure about this? If we reveal our true capabilities now, there's no going back. The galaxy will know that Earth is a major power." Admiral Minho looked at the portrait of his daughter on his desk. Hana had been a teacher on the New Sol, helping to educate the children of the new colony. She had never hurt anyone in her life. "The galaxy needs to learn that attacking human civilians has consequences," he said. "We tried diplomacy. We tried staying hidden. The Velkins chose war." On the main screen, they watched as the Velkin fleet opened fire on the Silent Thunder. The energy readings were incredible. Enough firepower to destroy a city was focused on Captain Jinwoo's ship. When the light faded, the Silent Thunder was completely undamaged. "Shields holding at 98%, came Jinwoo's calm report. "Beginning the demonstration now." Admiral Minho allowed himself a small smile as he watched the human ship begin its attack. The Velkins were about to learn why humanity had survived and thrived on one of the most dangerous planets in the galaxy. "Commander Yunji, signal all fleets. Operation Redemption is now active. All ships are to jump to their assigned targets simultaneously." "Sir, that will put our fleets in orbit around every major Imperial world at the same time. Are you sure we're ready for that kind of commitment?" Admiral Minho watched as another Velkin ship was destroyed by the Silent Thunder's impossible weapons. Each destroyed ship represented justice for the civilians who had died on the New Sol. "We've been ready for this for 8 months. It's time the Empire learned what happens when you threaten Earth's people." Across human space, thousands of ships began charging their jump drives. In shipyards hidden in asteroid belts and gas giant clouds, the final vessels of humanity's secret fleet prepared for launch. The Velkins had started this war by attacking civilians. Today, humanity would finish it. The Silent Thunder moved like nothing the Velkins had ever seen before. Normal ships had to push themselves through space using engines and thrusters. They followed predictable paths that enemy gunners could track and target. But the human ship simply existed in one place, then existed in another place. There was no movement between the 2 points. One moment it was 1,000 kilometers away from the Velkin fleet. The next moment it was right in the middle of their formation. "Impossible!" Fleet Admiral Thoxlar screamed from his bridge. "No ship can move like that." His weapons officers were trying desperately to target the human vessel, but their computers could not lock onto it. Every time they thought they had a firing solution, the Silent Thunder would relocate to somewhere else. "All ships, evasive maneuvers," Thoxlar ordered. But his massive warships were too slow and bulky to dodge anything. The Silent Thunder's weapons were unlike anything in the Imperial database. There were no bright energy beams shooting across space. There were no missiles or projectiles flying toward their targets. Instead, space itself seemed to change around the targeted ships. The first Velkin destroyer, the Righteous Fury, simply folded in on itself. The massive ship crumpled like a piece of paper being crushed in someone's hand. The hull plates bent and twisted in ways that should have been impossible. Within seconds, a 2-kilometer warship became a ball of compressed metal no bigger than a shuttle. The second ship, the Imperial Sword, exploded when something went terribly wrong with its fusion reactor. The explosion was different from normal reactor failures. Instead of expanding outward, the energy seemed to collapse inward, creating a brief but brilliant star that consumed the ship from the inside. "Sir, the Crimson Talon is reporting complete system failure," called out the communications officer. "They say their computers are being rewritten by some kind of virus. All their systems are turning against them." Thoxlar watched in horror as the Crimson Talon's own weapons began firing at nearby Imperial ships. The crew was screaming over the radio that they had lost control of their vessel completely. "How are they doing this?" he whispered. The Silent Thunder continued to move through his fleet like a deadly ghost. It would appear near a group of ships, destroy 2 or 3 of them in impossible ways, then vanish and reappear somewhere else. Every shot the Vulcans fired either missed completely or passed right through the human ship as if it was not really there. "Sir, I'm reading massive energy spikes from the human vessel," reported the sensor officer. "But the readings don't make sense. According to our instruments, they're using more power than our entire fleet combined, but we can't detect where that power is coming from." Another group of Imperial ships died as the silent thunder focused its attention on them. The Star Crusher simply vanished, leaving nothing behind but empty space. The divine judgment broke apart as the atomic bonds holding its hull together somehow stopped working. "Fleet Admiral," his tactical officer said, his voice shaking with fear, "we've lost 30 ships in 5 minutes. Our weapons can't touch them, but they're destroying us easily." Thoxler had been a naval officer for over 200 years. He had fought in dozens of battles and conquered many worlds for the Empire. But he had never seen anything like this. The humans were not just winning. They were demonstrating that the Empire's technology was completely obsolete. "Send a message. To all ships," he ordered. "Full retreat. Jump to hyperspace immediately." "Sir, the human ship is jamming our jump drives. We can't escape." Captain Jinwoo's voice came through the communication system again, still calm and controlled. "This is your final warning. Withdraw from human space or face complete annihilation." "Human space?" Thoxelar shouted back. "This system is not on any of our maps. You are an unknown species." "We were unknown," came the reply. "That changed when you murdered our colonists. Earth sends its regards." Suddenly, the tactical display began showing new contacts throughout the system. More ships were appearing, dozens at first, then hundreds. All of them had the same impossible black hull as the silent thunder. "Fleet Admiral," the communications officer called out, his voice filled with panic. "We're receiving emergency transmissions from multiple sources. Sir, human ships have appeared in orbit around Velkara Prime. They're also at Thendrak, Morvac, and Zeltian. The humans are at all our major worlds simultaneously." Thoxler felt his legs give way, and he collapsed into his command chair. The humans had not just sent one ship to deal with his fleet. They had sent entire fleets to attack the most important worlds in the Empire at the same time. "How many ships?" he asked weakly. "Thousands, sir. Our forces at the capital are reporting. Over 2,000 human vessels in orbit. They're demanding the immediate surrender of the Empire." "Sir," his tactical officer interrupted, "the human ships here are moving into attack formation. They're surrounding us completely." On the main screen, Thoxelar could see the silent thunder floating motionless in space, while hundreds of identical ships took positions around his fleet. His 200 mighty warships looked like toys compared to the human formation. "Open a channel to the human commander," he said quietly. Captain Jinwoo appeared on the screen. He was younger than Thoxelar had expected, maybe 40 or 50 years.
Old by human standards, but his eyes were hard and cold. "Captain," Thoxelar began, "perhaps we can discuss terms."
"There are no terms," Jinwoo replied. 8 months ago, you destroyed one of our colony ships. 600,000 civilians died, including children and families who had never hurt anyone. You did this to send a message about Imperial power. That was a military decision made by High Command. I was not involved. Every Imperial ship was involved the moment your Empire chose to target our civilians. You wanted to teach humanity about consequences. Today, you learn about ours. On the Imperial capital world of Velkara Prime, Empress Velthara stood in her crystal palace looking up at the sky. For 400 years she had ruled the galaxy from this world. She had never known fear, never doubted the power of her empire. Today was different. Today, the sky was filled with alien warships. The holographic display in her throne room showed impossible numbers. Human fleets had appeared around every major Imperial world at exactly the same time. Not just a few ships, but hundreds or thousands at each location. Ships that moved without following the laws of physics, weapons that ignored every defense the Empire possessed. Your Imperial Majesty, the human admiral appeared in the chamber through a holographic transmitter. His image was being sent from the flagship Indomitable Will, which was hanging in orbit directly above the palace. The human looked older than most of his species, maybe 60 years old. His uniform was simple compared to imperial fashion, but he carried himself with the confidence of someone who held all the power in the room. "I am Admiral Minho of the Earth Defense Force. We need to discuss terms." "Terms?" Velthara's voice echoed through the crystal chamber with centuries of absolute authority. "You dare threaten the Velkan Empire? We have ruled this galaxy for 2,000 years. We command 847 species across 10,000 worlds." "Commanded," the Admiral corrected her. "Past tense. Your fleets are disabled, your communication networks are under our control, and your tributary species have been informed that they are now under Earth's protection." Another human stepped into view beside the Admiral. This one was a woman, younger, with strange scars on her face that Velthara recognized. They were Zephyrian ritual scars, markings that slaves received in the Imperial processing centers. "Hello, Your Majesty," the scarred woman said. "Remember me? Slave designation ZX47729. My name is Captain Soyon. It turns out humans are very good at finding friends among your subjects." Velthara felt her crystal form flicker with rage. "Impossible. Our empire has stood for 2,000 years. Our technology is the most advanced in the galaxy." "Admiral," Minho gestured, and the holographic display changed to show technical diagrams and ship schematics. "Your technology was impressive. Unfortunately for you, we spent the last 8 months after you destroyed our colony ship doing what humans do best, learning, adapting, and improving." The display showed side-by-side comparisons of Imperial and human technology. The human versions were clearly more advanced in every way. "Your quantum drives? We made them 3 times faster. Your plasma weapons? We made them twice as powerful, and half as energy-hungry. Your military tactics? We studied every battle you have fought for the last 1,000 years and found all the weaknesses." "But how?" Velthara demanded. "You are a primitive species. Our scouts reported that you had barely left your home system." Captain Soyon smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. "That's what your scouts reported, yes. What they did not realize is that we have been very, very busy since then." The display changed again, showing the construction of massive shipyards hidden in asteroid belts and gas giant clouds throughout human space. Thousands of ships being built simultaneously, while the Empire thought humanity was still struggling with basic space travel. "When you destroyed the New Sol," Admiral Minho continued, "you killed 600,000 of our people. You thought this would teach us to fear the Empire. Instead, you taught us that the Empire was our enemy. We have over 10,000 worlds," Velthara protested. "Billions of soldiers, thousands of fleets." "Had," Captain Soyon corrected. "Past tense again. Your soldiers are surrendering faster than we can process them. Your fleets are either destroyed or have joined us. Your worlds are asking for protection from Earth rather than the Empire." The holographic display showed reports streaming in from across Imperial space. World after world was declaring independence from the Empire and requesting Earth protection. Fleet after fleet was either surrendering or being destroyed by human forces. "This is impossible," Velthara whispered. "How can one species defeat an empire that has ruled the galaxy for millennia?" Admiral Minho's expression softened slightly, as if he almost felt sorry for her. "Your Majesty, the Empire made a fundamental mistake. You assumed that because humanity was new to galactic politics, we were weak. You forgot to ask the important question." "What question?" "How did a species that you considered primitive manage to survive and thrive on one of the most dangerous planets in the galaxy?" "Earth is a death world, Your Majesty. Deadly weather, poisonous atmosphere, aggressive wildlife, natural disasters that could destroy civilizations. Only the strongest and most adaptable species could evolve there." Captain Soyon stepped forward. "I lived as a slave in your empire for 10 years before I escaped and reached Earth. I have seen both civilizations. The Empire rules through fear and superior technology. But humans? Humans survive through cooperation, innovation, and pure stubbornness. When you attacked our civilians," Admiral Minho continued, "you united every human in the galaxy behind a single cause. We put aside all our differences and worked together with one goal: make sure this never happens again. The display showed human factories working around the clock, human scientists sharing research freely, human engineers building impossible machines, an entire species focused on a single objective. You also made another mistake, Captain Soyon added. You assumed that your subject species were loyal. Most of them hate the Empire and were just waiting for someone strong enough to protect them from you. The Zephyrians taught us about imperial military doctrine. The hegemony of Korth gave us their industrial techniques. The free traders provided intelligence about imperial ship movements. Everyone wanted to help us defeat you. Velthara sank onto her crystal throne, her form dimming with despair. What do you want? Admiral Minho's expression became serious again. The immediate and complete surrender of all imperial forces, the release of all slaves and subject species, war crimes trials for those responsible for civilian attacks, and a guarantee that the Empire will never again threaten human civilians or our allies. And if I refuse? The Admiral looked directly at her through the holographic display. Then, we will remove you from power and find someone more reasonable to negotiate with. We prefer peace, Your Majesty, but we are prepared for war. The choice is yours. 3 months after the fall of the Velkin Empire, Admiral Minho stood in his new office aboard Earth Orbital Station Alpha. The massive space station hung in orbit around Earth, serving as the headquarters for the newly formed Terran Federation. Through the large windows of his office, he could see ships from dozens of different species arriving and departing every day. Former Imperial subjects came seeking alliance, protection, trade agreements, or sometimes just friendship with the humans who had freed them. The view was beautiful and strange. Crystalline ships from the artistic Zephyrians flew alongside the organic-looking vessels of the hegemony of Korth. Sleek human ships escorted bulky cargo haulers bringing goods from worlds that had been isolated under Imperial rule for centuries. Commander. Yunji entered his office carrying her daily report. She had been promoted twice since the war ended, and now served as his chief of staff for Federation affairs. Good morning, Admiral. The integration continues ahead of schedule. The Zephyrians have agreed to share their biotechnology in exchange for military protection. The hegemony of Korth wants to discuss expanded trade agreements. Their industrial capacity could help us build civilian infrastructure much faster. She paused and smiled slightly. And the former Empress Velthara has requested another audience with you. Admiral Minho raised an eyebrow. Still demanding the return of her empire? Actually, sir, she's asking about the scholarship program. Apparently, she wants to understand how we achieved technological superiority so quickly. She's requesting permission to study at our engineering schools. Minho chuckled. The Velkins had learned the hard way that humanity's greatest weapon was not their ships or their advanced technology. It was their refusal to accept that anything was impossible. Where other species saw barriers that could not be crossed, humans saw interesting problems to solve. Any word from Captain Jinwoo? The Silent Thunder and her battle group are escorting the last Velkin holdout fleet to the surrender coordinates. Captain Jinwoo reports no casualties on either side. The Velkin crews are actually requesting to join our fleet after they saw our medical facilities and living conditions. The door chimed, and Captain Doyun entered. He had been promoted from lieutenant after his crucial role in coordinating the multi-system operation that had ended the war. Now he served as Admiral Minho's intelligence chief. Admiral, we're receiving priority transmissions from our deep space monitoring stations. Long-range sensors have detected movement from the Andromedan hegemony. They appear to be curious about recent events in our galaxy. Admiral Minho turned back to the window, watching as another group of alien refugees arrived at the station. These were survivors from a world that had been devastated by Imperial strip mining operations. Earth medical ships were already moving to help them. 8 months ago, humanity had been unknown to the galaxy. They had been hiding in their small corner of space, trying to avoid attention while they slowly expanded to nearby systems. Today, they were reshaping galactic civilization. What do we know about the Andromedans? He asked. Very little, sir. They're from outside our galaxy entirely. Our best intelligence suggests they have technology that makes the old Imperial fleet look primitive. But they've never shown interest in our galaxy before. Commander Yunji looked concerned. Sir, are we prepared for contact with an extragalactic power? Our fleets are still spread out across former Imperial space, helping with the transition to the new government structure. Admiral Minho walked to his desk and picked up a small photograph. It showed his daughter Hana teaching a group of children on the new Sol just days before the ship was destroyed. Her students had been from 6 different species, all learning together in the colony's integrated schools. Commander, 3 months ago, we were prepared to take on an empire that had ruled the galaxy for 2,000 years. We did not just defeat them. We convinced most of their former subjects to join us willingly. He set the photograph down and looked at both officers. The reason we succeeded was not because we had better weapons or stronger ships. We succeeded because we offered something the Empire never could: partnership instead of domination, cooperation instead of conquest, protection instead of exploitation. But sir, Captain Dohyun said, the Andromedans might not be interested in partnership. What if they're more like the old Empire? Admiral Minho smiled, but there was steel in his expression. Then they'll learn the same lesson the Velkans did. Humans protect their allies, Captain, and we now have a lot of allies. The communication panel on his desk lit up with an incoming message. Commander Yunji checked the display. Sir, it's a transmission from the Andromedan contact fleet. They're requesting permission to enter our galaxy for diplomatic purposes. How many ships? Just one, sir. A small vessel with diplomatic markings. Admiral Minho thought for a moment. The smart choice would be to meet the Andromedans with overwhelming force, just in case they had hostile intentions. But that was how the old Empire would have handled the situation. Send a reply, he said. Tell them that Earth welcomes peaceful contact with all sentient species. Invite them to meet us at the neutral zone near the galactic rim. We'll send a diplomatic escort to guide them in. Sir, Captain Dohyun said carefully, what if this is a trap? What if they're testing our defenses? Admiral Minho looked out the window again, watching human and alien ships working together to build a better future. The galaxy was more peaceful now than it had been in centuries. Former enemies were becoming friends. Species that had been enslaved for generations were free to develop their own cultures again. Then they'll discover what the Velkans learned, he said quietly. Humanity might forgive, but we never forget. And we are very, very good at holding grudges. He turned to face his officers. But let's hope it doesn't come to that. Send the message and make sure our deep space fleets are ready just in case. As the 2 officers left to carry out their orders, Admiral Minho remained at the window. In the distance, he could see the Silent Thunder and her sister ships on patrol, silent guardians of the new age. The galaxy had learned an important lesson over the past few months. Attacking human civilians had consequences. But more importantly, it had learned that humans could be the best friends or the worst enemies anyone could imagine. He preferred being friends, but he was prepared for either possibility.